Your shoulders drop the second the app opens. Not relief, something closer to pride. You already know the number before it loads. $42,000. Untouched. Growing a little every month. You're the responsible one. The one who never panics, never slips. Every time that number ticks up, it feels like winning. It's not safe. By the end of this video, you'll know your own number. You've met Marcus before. 33 HVAC technician. The guy who let $20,000 sit untouched for 14 months, while his friend Dana couldn't keep a dollar in her account. That was 18 months ago. Marcus never stopped. He kept adding to that account, a little from every paycheck, a bonus here, a tax refund there, and never once moved it anywhere else. Today it sits at $42,000 in the same checking account, earning close to nothing. Dana's different now too. After she built her first real savings habit, something changed in her that didn't change in Marcus. The moment her account crossed what she actually needed for a real emergency, 6 months of expenses, roughly $19,000 for her, she started redirecting everything past that line into a separate investment account. She didn't stop saving, she just stopped letting it pile up doing nothing. Here's what should bother you. Marcus is the one who never touched his money. Never panicked, never slipped. By every measure of responsible, he wins. Dana's the one who kept moving her money around, taking it out of the safe account. And yet, 18 months later, Marcus is quietly behind. Not because he did anything wrong, because he never asked a second question after the first one. He asked, "How do I stop spending it?" and stopped there. He never asked what $42,000 is supposed to be doing for him once it exists. That second question is the entire video. Let's do Marcus's real math. Not the number on his screen, the number underneath it. Marcus's checking account pays him close to nothing. Call it 0.05% a year, standard for a big bank checking account. On $42,000, that's about $21 a year, essentially nothing. Meanwhile, prices don't sit still, using a representative inflation rate in the 3 to 3.5% range. Marcus's $42,000 is losing real purchasing power every single month it sits there. Over the 18 months since he crossed $20,000, that adds up to roughly $2,200 in silent, invisible loss. The number on his screen never dropped. What it can actually buy did. That's cost number one, and it's the easy one to miss because nothing about it feels like loss. No alert, no red number, just a slow leak dressed up as safety. Cost number two is bigger. While Marcus's $42,000 sat flat, Dana's overflow, everything she redirected past her $19,000 safety line, went into a diversified investment account. Run the numbers on just the portion Marcus could have safely moved. Call it $23,000, the amount above what he actually needs for a real emergency. At a representative long-term average return of 7% annually, that $23,000 invested for 18 months would have grown by roughly $2,500. Add the inflation loss and the missed growth together, and the true cost of Marcus's safe decision over 18 months is somewhere around $4,700. Not a catastrophe. Not a scandal. Just a quiet, compounding tax on doing nothing, paid by someone who thought he was doing everything right. Here's the reframe that matters. Marcus isn't undisciplined. He's actually more disciplined than most people watching this. He built a real safety net and never touched it. His mistake isn't behavior. It's that nobody ever told him a safety net has a ceiling. Past a certain point, more safe money isn't more safety. It's just money quietly losing a fight against inflation while sitting still. Dana's $19,000 line isn't arbitrary. It's roughly 6 months of her actual expenses, the number every legitimate emergency fund guideline points to. Everything past that line stopped being an emergency fund the moment it stopped being needed for emergencies. It became something else. Money with a job it wasn't doing. Marcus has $23,000 with no job. That's not caution. That's the exact same problem as Dana's old one, wearing a nicer outfit. Here's why Marcus can't see it, even looking straight at it. Economists call it money illusion, a term going back to Irving Fisher in the 1920s, later studied directly by researchers Eldar Shafir, Peter Diamond, and Amos Tversky in the 1990s. The finding: people evaluate money in nominal terms, the number printed on the screen, instead of real terms, what that number can actually buy. A raise that doesn't keep pace with inflation still feels like a raise. A balance that hasn't dropped still feels like safety. The number is the story your brain believes, even when the number is lying. Marcus looks at $42,000 and his brain registers one thing: bigger than it used to be. It doesn't register the second, quieter fact: smaller in what it can buy than it used to be. Both are true at once. Only one of them is visible. This is precisely why the number feeling safe and the number being safe can point in completely different directions. And almost nobody notices the gap until someone shows it to them directly. Now here's who benefits from Marcus never noticing. Large retail banks pay close to nothing on checking and savings balances. Under 0.1% is typical, while lending that same deposited money out or investing it themselves at far higher rates. The difference between what they pay you and what they earn on your money is called the spread, and it is the bank's profit, sitting quietly on top of every idle dollar in every account like Marcus's. The bigger the idle balance, the bigger the spread the bank collects for doing nothing but holding it. Marcus isn't being charged a fee. Nothing looks wrong on his statement. That's what makes this villain harder to see than an overdraft charge. There's no alert, no red number, no moment that feels like being taken advantage of. Just a balance that looks exactly the same every month, quietly generating profit for someone else while generating a real, compounding loss for him. Which means the fix was never save more. Marcus already solved that problem 18 months ago. The fix nobody told him about is knowing where safety ends and waste begins, and building something automatic, so the answer doesn't depend on him remembering to ask the second question every single month. That's exactly what changed for him. It was Dana who said it, not a bank statement. They were catching up, the way they still do, 18 months after the year Dana calls the year everything reset. And Marcus mentioned, a little proudly, that his account had crossed 42,000. He expected the reaction he always got. Impressed. Dana asked one question instead. What's it doing? Marcus didn't understand the question. It was doing what it was supposed to do. Sitting there, safe, not going anywhere. That's not an answer, Dana said. That's what it's not doing. I asked what it's doing. He didn't have one. And once she said it out loud, he couldn't stop hearing it. That night, he actually looked, not just at the balance, but at the interest line on his statement, the one he'd never once clicked into in 3 years of banking with them. $21. For a full year, on $42,000. He did the inflation math on his phone in bed, the same rough math from this video, and got a number that made him sit up. Over $1,000 a year, just quietly gone. On top of every year he let it sit past what he needed. He wasn't angry at Dana. He was embarrassed. The specific kind of embarrassed that comes from realizing you optimized so hard for one kind of mistake that you walked straight into a different one. The fix he built wasn't complicated. And that was the point. He set what we're calling a skim line, a ceiling on his checking and safety net balance set at $20,000, a little above his real 6-month number. Enough buffer to feel secure without lying to himself about what secure required. Anything that crossed that ceiling at the end of the month didn't get a decision. It swept automatically into a diversified investment account the same night his paycheck landed, before he had a chance to feel proud of a bigger number and leave it there. The first month, $22,000 moved. Not because he decided to move it, because the rule decided for him. The same way Dana's automatic transfer had decided for her 18 months earlier. That's the part neither of them says out loud very often. Their two opposite money habits were never actually opposite. Dana automated getting money in. Marcus automated getting the excess out. Same mechanism, aimed at two different failure points. 3 months in, Marcus checked his accounts the way Dana used to check hers. Not out of fear, but out of something closer to curiosity. Checking balance, $21,000, right where the ceiling held it. Investment balance, $23,000, and moving. He still remembers the specific discomfort of the math from that first night. A number that had felt like his biggest financial win, quietly turning into evidence of a blind spot. What he didn't expect was how fast the discomfort turned into something almost like relief. The size of the number had never been the point. Knowing what job it was doing was. He hasn't told anyone the exact dollar figure that first month's Skimline moved. He has told exactly one person what it felt like to finally have an answer to Dana's question. She just nodded. She already knew. You open your banking app again. Same motion as the start of this video, but this time, you don't stop at the checking balance. Your eyes go straight to the second number, the one moving. You used to feel invincible looking at one big number. Now you feel something steadier, looking at two smaller ones that are each actually doing something. That's the real shift 20,000 or 42,000 or whatever your own number turns out to be was never going to give you on its own. A pile of money doesn't make you safe. Knowing exactly what job each dollar is doing does. Marcus didn't get here by saving less or by taking on some risk he wasn't ready for. He got here by asking the one question his first win never forced him to ask, past the point of real safety. What is this money actually for? Here's your assignment. It takes about 5 minutes. Add up what you're actually keeping in checking and savings combined. Then calculate your real number, roughly 6 months of essential expenses. If what you're holding is close to that line, you're fine, and this video isn't about you. If it's meaningfully past it, that gap is your excess. Sitting in an account paying you next to nothing, while inflation quietly taxes it every month. Write the gap down, not in your head. Actually write it down, right now, before you close this tab. Then don't act on it for 72 hours. When the 72 hours are up, ask yourself one question. If the size of your balance has been making you feel safe, what would it take to feel just as safe with a smaller number sitting there instead, and more of it actually working? Whatever you decide then is the real answer, not the one you'd give right now, still holding the comfortable feeling of a big round number on a screen. Marcus's gap was $22,000. Find yours.